Right now, there's a lot out there that's causing commotion and conflict regarding prophets and politics, and I'm sure some people are mad at you because of what you say on one page, correct? Is that where you're getting a lot of your death threats?
Yes.
What we understand is that the average person in politics, when they are voting, vote their convictions. And business people vote about what matters to them and their bottom line. All right? And so what matters to me and my bottom line may not line up with my personal conviction. It's your turn. Agree or disagree?
I agree, and I think as a person, I was raised to vote a certain way.
You can be blunt.
Yeah.
You
So
can be blunt.
as a growing up, I was raised to vote Democrat. I was told that if you're black, you better not vote for a Republican because they're all racist. And my mom said everything that bad happened in her life was because of the Republicans. The second thing I want to say is, as a prophet, I would say I'm neither Democrat nor Republican because I would vote for a Republican or a Democrat. For instance, in our city, I ran for U.S. Congress. I ran for state representative. I know people on both sides of the aisle. And there's a lady in our city, most people know her, she's a Democrat. I fully support her. Kimberly Daniels.
Yeah, I got you.
Great woman of God. So as a Christian, you're not supposed to vote based off the person, but off policy. Because policy is what you have to live under. Remember, though I might have a preference, so I'm gonna be honest, I voted for Obama the first time, but I did not vote for him the second time because he pushed the LGBT agenda and he came out the second time. But like most African Americans, I was caught up in the euphoria of a first black president because of what we all been through. We all wanted to see that. And I remember Brian Carn rebuking the church during that time when he was, he came and he rebuked because still in that second time, a lot of the church came on agreement with Obama, even though he came out and said, I'm pushing this agenda. The problem has to be, as the church, who is our God? Is it a party or is it God?
See, I would ask the question, how can you tell people to vote their convictions if they're not living their convictions?
Ooh.
So that's how we're seeing things play out. Most have convictions that they don't live by, but they vote by and then wonder why what's happening in the world is happening is because you're voting what you think instead of what you really live and go by. Times we put prophecy over politics or politics over prophecy, and we don't understand how to live and operate past our convictions to be able to hear from God and say, on this matter, God is saying do this, but next year I'm willing to move in a different direction if he says do this, because we're beholden to a party.
Wow, what was the question?
Well, the question is, how do you determine how you vote? But what do you say from a prophetic perspective, how to do this thing when you are with the black culture? Church.
I would say this. I approach everything through prayer and through fasting. That's kind of like, cliche, but I really do. And to be totally honest, I think because I'm a seer as well, it's like my gift takes me into time. And so I can see two outcomes. And that's a real thing. And so I, based off what is shown to me in the spirit realm, is based off how I vote. And so, like, even with the election coming up, I think I publicly shared it one time, I saw 2 different outcomes in the spirit. And so basically, based off what he shows you in time is how you choose. And so that's how I do that. Now, everybody doesn't have that, which is why you need prophets that aren't afraid to speak the mind, the heart, and the intent of God. And
But wait a minute. If you see 2 outcomes, how do you know which one to choose?
So it's based off, of course, you know, I guess the gift of the grace of wisdom, and also, I guess, wrapped in with a little discernment. Really, to be honest about this election, there really is no good. And I'm being honest. So really,
we expect y'all to always be honest up here.
Really,
according to what.
But what I understand is that because we are a part of a kingdom, the world can be having one experience, and we can be having a whole different experience. And so what my plight is as a prophet is to preach people to Jesus and bring them into the kingdom and let them understand that regardless of whoever is president, we're covered.
That I cannot go past those.
You, Jordan Wells, can't vote past your convictions. Is that what I hear you saying?
Certain convictions.
Certain
that I
convictions.
believe are in the Word of God.
So it's those top
2
convictions,
yes.
2 convictions
yes.
that make you decide which direction you're going to vote.
Yes.
And they are
abortion
and
transgender ideologies, pushing things like men can play in women's sports. Biological men can play in women's sports.
Us as black people, we looked at racism and different things. We voted off our preference and not off of what God wanted. So God gave you the king that you wanted, and he did absolutely nothing. So I believe for now.
Wait. I want y'all. Wait a minute. No, this is good. I want y'all to hear. Even though they're saying it differently, they're still saying the same thing. And they are they're both global prophets, but they're prophets to different demographics, and they're saying the same thing. But when did you say that to somebody else? I mean, but did you say that? I don't remember.
I posted it on Facebook.
I wasn't looking.
I had a lot of prophets, because we had well-known prophets. And let me say this. Just because a person is known doesn't mean that they have the word of the Lord. Because the Bible even talks about all the prophets prophesying the same thing. And then there was one prophet that spoke amongst everybody and said, no, the word of the Lord is this. And all of them were off and that prophet was on. And so you cannot change the word of the Lord based off popularity. You prophesy what he says, even if it puts you in a position where you're not liked. Because we're not doing this for likes and comments anyway. We're doing this so that we can say what he says. And so we had people like Clem Commit, we had people like different ones that were saying that, God was saying that Trump was, and he was. I do not argue that. I believe he was supposed to serve another 4 years back to back, but God gave us what we wanted. And you had to deal with the consequences of your choices. Now we're at this again. Now people are saying, okay, we should have did it. So some of us are saying, now we need to vote for Trump. But I'm just saying, some of us, this is what we hear. In my generation, because I'm a millennial,
that's why we
and I'm
got your
30.
generation up here.
This is what I see. Now, some people, someone's saying we need to vote for Trump. And then some people saying, we should rally behind Kamala. All I'm saying is get in the spirit. And he'll show you exactly what it's going to be. And do not govern yourself to live by whoever is president. Live by the spirit. That's all I'm saying.
And I will say this. I wrote a book called The Messengers. I had an angel of the Lord come to me and showed me. I wrote the first book, The Final Trumpet, about the elections. It was going to get on Sid Roth, but I had to admit that. And when the book was blowing up, Lord showed me what would happen with the election and everything that I wrote in that book began to happen. I wrote a second book to happen with the messengers. And the Lord showed me two paths.
Wait a second. So the Lord has shown you two paths about what's coming up, and the Lord showed him two paths. We going somewhere, y'all. I need y'all to see this. All right, go ahead.
So there are two paths. I hate to say this.
We don't want you to hate it. Say it.
What he said is true. I feel like now, if both candidates, say if Trump wins, there's still going to be a very dark time because I believe America is close to a civil war. And if Trump gets in office, all heck is going to break loose on one side. And if Kamala gets in, it's going to be vice versa. There is also global war, prophetically, that I see that could be happening. And I saw Russia, I saw China getting together with Iran. And so if Trump gets in office, the Lord showed me that war will be pushed back. Also, economically, if Trump gets in office, the economy will stabilize. But if Kamala gets in office, we will have to learn to live in the supernatural. Because there will be a choice, and I'm not saying anything about my preference. I'm just telling you what I see. There's a possibility that Kamala could win. Because when I asked God, he didn't tell me who's going to win. And I have a lot of prophet friends, but he's not telling anybody who's going to win. I don't see I have not heard one prophet say this is who's going to win.
I don't see no winner.
I haven't seen anything. And that's the first election where I have not seen who was going to win. This election is like a question mark. And I think it goes back to what he said. God is going to give the people what they want in this election. And who we choose is the outcome we're going to have to live under.
And I also want to say this is that you have to learn how to live in the supernatural anyway. And I believe the same thing, but either it's going to be war regardless, whether it's a war outside or if we get Trump, I believe there will be a war that breaks out because God did show me a civil war breaking out because of him being in office. But then people don't respect women. So if a woman becomes president, then you have to deal with the war that will be on the outside. So it's like, which way do we go? So it's just like, you have to learn how to live out. And that's why, just parenthetically, that's why the marketplace prophet is important, because this is the time that, after you finish falling out of the floor, you need to get up and get a strategy on how you're going to live. If your corporation shuts down, what are you going to do? If they fire you from your 9 to 5, how are you going to live? That's the job, to receive strategy. So it does not matter who is in office. I am prospering by his word. And so that's why I believe it's our time.
Because another COVID season is coming. The Lord showed me that. Not necessarily COVID, but a type of global effect. Something's going to affect the economy. And God told me many millionaires will be raised up, but it would look different than we saw before. I saw an economic crash, but I saw Bitcoin, she didn't tell me to say this, and I saw people that had certain investments doing very well, even though the bottom was falling out, and I saw people jumping on buildings because they're losing everything. Like everything they had stopped, dropping everything. It was just really bad. So this isn't like, and I'm gonna say this, we need to be praying over this next month. Because if Trump would have been assassinated, that would have been a civil war. I want you to understand that. There are people that would have started shooting up places. So, because whether you like him or not, he has a cult-like following. And so there are people that would have saw that and probably it would have been a World War II in our country. And so I think we need, as a church, we need to be praying for our country because we have to live here. And then we need to walk in the spirit and we need to learn, because recently I actually lost my job. They just fired me. It was a Christian job, actually. They said that you just want to do minute. You just something better for you. Your ministry is doing, it was just the bishop wanted me to be under him. That was what it was. But I was doing my stream of income. I had different streams. And so when those streams dropped out, I was still able to provide for my family, even though all my streams dried up. As far as my 9 to 5. And so I believe this is a time too where while this is going on economically, like the prophet said, we need to begin to have more than one source. Because if something happened like during COVID, a lot of people were struggling. A lot of preachers were struggling during COVID because they weren't getting invitations to preach.
Well, I was, but
some of them.
Right. All right, folks. This is just a sneak peek of what we have to come and how God's going to do this thing. And I'm going to end on this note. Remember, as believers, you have to look past what you see, because what you see is only a glimpse of the reality. And if we could get prophets and apostles to tap into where things are happening past the visualization of what we see, then it would teach us how to operate in another level of the supernatural. And so I'm telling you right now, what you see isn't always what is real. All right? And then I'm also telling you what you hear also has an engine behind what's being said. And I'm going to leave you with this note. I'm going to give you an example so you understand. Now, by the grace of God, I'm called probably about once or twice a month to comment on the news, on social media. I just wake up and they call me, but it's under what they say is, we need a social media expert. But when I talk, but when they call me to talk about social media, it always has some sort of national, global ramification. Whether it's, should we allow, what do I think about Instagram now having a protected teen area? Stuff like that. But the last time about a year ago when they called, one of the main questions they wanted me to comment on regarding social media was the possibility of a civil war. And how fast could a civil war break out according to what was said on social media? And they wanted me to comment on, this is me, I'm a social media expert, but I'm giving insight on this area. But then also, could I speak to the vulnerability of people of a certain age who also may not be able to discern what's real online and what's not? So that's where we are. This is the news media. So the other thing that I'm saying is, learn how to cultivate your prophetic apostolic voice and don't be afraid to potentially be the one that gets the call to say what needs to be said in the media for influence, but also so that you can be about the king's agenda and that your voice can go out and make a difference. Amen? All right. God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in.